my first job in the media was I started off at a magazine which was being run by Kiss FM when it was a pirate, and before they became legal, what they did was they went off air, and to stay in touch with their millions of fans, they basically started a little magazine, and I ended up running their magazine for them. And then when Kiss became legal, in time-honoured tradition, they sacked us all. And we thought, well, we know what we're doing now. We've got a voice, we've got a platform, we've got an audience, and we've got things that we want to say. So we started our own magazine, which was called Touch. And Touch was basically a very sort of underground, originally an underground London sort of black music fanzine, and then it sort of became bigger, it became more national, it ended up being sold through news trade. It didn't end up ever making any money, so it was like fantastically unsuccessful from a business point of view, but it was an amazing experience, and it was really ours. It was our thing. We said what we wanted. We had our agenda. We used our writers. It was basically people that knew what they were talking about the things that they were passionate about and loved. And essentially, I got a bit bored of it, and it was becoming a bit sort of, I sort of felt we were kind of talking to preachers to the converted, and I felt that we had stories we wanted to tell to a wider audience. So I ended up pitching stuff to TV, and I made a couple of things quite early on, about sort of 12 years ago. But then I spent quite a long time working at a production company called Keo Films, where I sort of more or less ran my own slate, because the kind of stuff I was making was kind of very different to what they were making, and it sort of fitted quite well because I just basically had a home there and sort of got on with my own stuff. And this was in about 2008. I got involved with a film called Exit Through the Gift Shop. Well, it came to be called that. It wasn't called anything for a very long time, which was essentially a film made by Banksy that I made with him, which tells the story of a street artist who, I won't tell you the story of it, but it's a street art film that isn't really about street art. Yeah, well, Exit's unique because not only because it came out at the cinema, but, I mean, obviously other documentaries come out at the cinema, but because there was no pitching involved. So basically, in a nutshell, Banksy had the idea, came to me, we made it, and that was it. I mean, it wasn't that simple, but we were not at the whim of any commissioning editor or broadcaster or delivery date or schedule or editorial parameters other than the ones that we imposed upon ourselves, which was actually, on one hand, is an absolute dream, and on the other hand, is also a bit of a nightmare because sometimes you need constraints. So yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people. I quite often complain about the kind of constraints that were imposed upon you by kind of, unsympathetic commissioning editors or kind of unrealistic budgets or kind of ludicrous timeframes, but it's not that simple. You need that. I mean, we work in an industry which is essentially about delivering content and products, and much as my first sort of passion was like music, and when I realised that there was a record industry and it wasn't about the music, I was like really shocked. But then you go, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's the same with TV and film. It's an industry, and I think we will know that. But it's easy to complain, but sometimes you come to appreciate those constraints. So the time frame from initial phone call and starting the project of Exit the Gift Shop to literally being at the Oscars was exactly 3 years, more or less. I think maybe 1 month more than 3 years. There was a long time of being on the road, being like, we weren't out doing press and interviews and that kind of stuff that you would normally do, but there was just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into getting a film out to cinema that I didn't realise. I mean, it was all new to me. So really rewarding from a kind of creative and kind of experience point of view, because you're just learning new stuff all the time. So Acme is a company that I started quite recently. We've done a couple of films for Channel 4, and we've got a couple of other things on the go now. It feels very creative because we are essentially talking to people, having ideas, finding out about access, writing stuff up, basically all that creative stuff that you quite often don't get to do much of in telly. Okay, so what happened with Street Summer and Channel 4 was that I was setting up my own company. So I'd been in to sort of see people at Channel 4 and at the BBC, just to let them know I was kind of, pitching stuff and what they're looking for, as you do. And then Tabitha Jackson, who's the head of arts commissioning at Channel 4, had this season called Street Summer, which went on to become known as Street Summer. So one of the key pieces of Street Summer, what went on to become Street Summer, was Exit Through the Gift Shop, which Channel 4 was showing. And they were just looking to kind of create content around that. And I picked quite a lot of stuff and ended up making one which was directly related to Exit Through the Gift Shop, which was called The Antics Roadshow, which was basically another project I made with Banksy, which was a celebration of low-level criminality, which actually, funnily enough, came out the week of the riots, when low-level criminality and taking action on the streets suddenly had a whole new kind of context and meaning. At the same time, I made a film called Life of Rhyme, which was presented by Akala, who's an MC who also runs a thing called the Hip Hop Shakespeare Company, and that was essentially a celebration of hip-hop and MC culture as being in the vanguard of a vernacular poetic tradition. So in other words, not a load of kids talking rubbish, but actually they're poets. Films like Life of Rhyme succeed if people who don't know anything about what an MC even is, or don't have any understanding of that culture, suddenly are prepared to look at those people through new eyes. Actually, the other rewarding thing, and completely contradicting what I just said, is that from what I heard, most of the people in that world also really liked it, and I think that is important, because you don't want to represent a world, particularly a world which is not ever represented. You don't want to represent them badly. You know, they're better off not represented, given that choice. And, you know, often you see those worlds being just treated as if they're kind of, you know, aliens from another universe, and they're not. That world's, that's us, that's our world, as much as any other, culture. So I think that if that film was received well by the people it was about, then it succeeded. Exit Through the Gift Shop, well, we didn't win an Oscar, but we got nominated for an Oscar, and we didn't win a BAFTA, but we got nominated for a BAFTA, but we did win a Grierson, and we won the American Independent Spirit Award, which is a really big deal in America, and we won loads of other awards that, you know, it was a big, high-profile film, and of course that makes a difference. You'd be mad not to use that, but it's what it means is it means that when you knock on that door, someone will probably answer, but it doesn't mean they're going to let you in the room and do what you want. It means that you can, it might be easy. I think it's probably easier to get the meeting, but I think that there's still a kind of resistance to some types of ideas, and editorially, you can only make, I think editorially, I want to make the things that I want to make. I don't want to make things that everybody else can make. There's millions of people in telly and film making amazing things that I love to watch, but I don't want to make them. I want to make the things that I want to make, and I want to make them, and that's my thing. I want to pitch things that I can do and get to make them because I've got something to say, or it might not even be me, it might be people I know that I want them to make it because they've got something to say and they're new and original and fresh and unheard, and you want them to have a platform, and that's exciting, that's what you want. I don't want to do the next kind of Secret Millionaire because there's a million other companies doing that and they're going to be much better than I am, but I do want to try and get the ideas across that I've got and that other people I know and have got, and that's still not easy. It's still a battle, it's still attritional. Often I feel that the kind of ideas I want to make are perceived as niche or kind of, of very marginal interest, and I would hate to make anything marginal or niche. I would find it really, really unrewarding, because you don't want to talk to 3 people, you want to talk to 3 million people, or at least be having the potential to talk to 3 million people. What I really honestly think is that the things I really wish I'd made is some of the ideas that I've pitched that have fallen on deaf ears and that still haven't been made but need to be made. And that's what I want to make. I want to make the things that I still want to make. Industry survival tip: be true to yourself, believe in yourself, pursue your dreams, don't give up, don't let the bastards grind you down, stand strong. Basically it's all about pushing and not going away. And I think that's, in any medium, that's really the most important thing, is just keep your integrity and just keep pushing, because when they say no, they don't really mean no. They just mean not yet.